Everyone, welcome to the GF channel. Today we talk about installing a cruise control to the Mazda. Now this particular Mazda has a 1.8 liter engine, 74 kilowatts. From what I've searched on the internet, there is no Mazda 1.8 liter FP motor with cruise control. That's just non-existing configuration. Today I'm going to install one, see if it actually works. I haven't done that, I don't know, we'll see in the process. It will be a lengthy video, so without further ado, let's go to what you need. The first thing you need actually is reading the documentation. By reading the documentation, you will understand how things connect to what exact wires you need and how to test them. That's very important. Prior actually turning on the car and trying if the cruise control is working, you could test 99% of the cases. So this is the documentation. I'm not sure I can give you a link to a file, but you see the file name here. I'm sure running it in Google will get you results. So the documentation, this is for the pinout of the cruise control module, the brain of the thing. Shows where things connect for the loom, because most likely you will get the cable loom cut. In my case, I went and I actually downloaded the cruise control module by myself. I spent 7 hours doing that, and I have like the whole cable not being cut towards the cruise control that goes into the actuator, and that's from the box. We'll get to the cable in a bit. Here you can also find useful information when buying. Actually, maybe even here was it. Yes. So when you get the actuator, if you get it from somewhere, somebody takes it down, you can measure the resistance between the pinouts if they are correct before buying. Now on my actuator, I actually didn't prepare well. I just went and I got everything, and I didn't check anything. So on my actuator between A and B, I actually get 50 ohm, not 55, while the other ones are pretty accurate, 21 and 55. So I'm hoping that's not actually a bad thing. We'll see. The other thing that you could check out, and it's very good to check out, which in my case again didn't work, that's the stop button. That's actually the most important part of the system, because it provides power. As looking through the documentation, it actually provides the power to the actuator. If you don't have this, not gonna work for sure. At the beginning, when I started extracting parts, I looked under my feet here, under the steering wheel, and I saw that I have a button, but this is this button, which is without cruise control system. I did not know that they're different, so I gathered all the parts, I went away, and a day later I figured out, well, I need this part, so I had to ask the guy to send it to me. I went and picked it up again, and after that, actually this morning, I did try exactly the continuity test case here, and the CND, the small one, which is the additional one, the other contacts are exactly the same, but the CND, there was no contact, so I had to open it. That's why the label here, which should say BR70, the other one doesn't have a BR70, so when buying, make sure this is BR70. I had to open it. You just pop this up, and everything gets apart, and it's a switch. It's just contacts. Either they can get dirty or oxidated or wear out. You can fix them. In this case, they were just dirty. I scratched on them, and now the button is working perfectly. Okay, so that's with the documentation. That's how actually you're gonna test. There's even here in the documentation, there's even a mode how to enter a testing procedure. This thing will actually test and blink your cruise control, the green LED. It's actually a light bulb, it's not an LED. So this way you can actually even test if the wiring for this thing work. Okay, so enough with this. Well, let's go through the parts you need. Of course, that's the parts I think I need, but I'm almost sure it's all the parts that are needed. Of course, the thing that I showed you, that's the cruise control actuator. It goes under the hood. It's pretty big. I have not only this, but with it I have all the mounting elements that are needed. Then you need the switch, which I haven't tested. Maybe it's a good idea to test. There is in the documentation a way to test when you click something how it should actually appear. This goes into your you have to remove the airbag. There are two bolts here, and you remove the airbag. This goes there. For this one you also need this because of this hole here for the switch there. This one, in order to remove, you actually have to pull out the whole steering wheel. So it's good to mark exactly how it was, so when you go and place it back, it's straight. In this case it's not straight, but I'll mark. I don't care if it's not straight right now. I'll mark, and when I place it, it will be good. Because to remove this plastic here at the back, this one, it actually goes, you have to remove the whole thing. That's that. You need the gas pedal. That's because the normal gas pedal doesn't have this part, this addition that actually when pressed actually presses your pedal, your gas pedal. It actually has only those here, but doesn't have this whole thing. And this is where the actuator actually connects to. Of course you need the brain. This is the brain box. It's positioned here. You need that brain box. I already mentioned this. This is just some tooling. Okay. And this is actually the most important part. And we have to speak about a bit more for this. This one is the most important, because you need to figure out where to connect what. And if you are lucky enough, like me, to have the car there and disconnect it yourself, as you can see, I have few loops here, different loops for different combination of stuff. I have the whole cable for the actuator without cutting. I have a few cables here, which I'm gonna tell you about in a bit, which are with connectors. They will go directly here. There is a plug there, we'll talk about in a bit for that. I have a few cut cables. These are for different sensors that the car actually uses, and they're not exclusive like these for the cruise control. And this wire, big wire, it's actually test wire. This goes into the diagnostics plug under the bonnet. It's not mandatory, I guess. If you don't like, you can skip it. But it goes with these. I'll have to plug those somehow. This is the somehow plug-in, because there is your computer, your PCM or ECU or whatever you call it. Next to it, on top, there is a hole with the whole cable loom goes through it. When we took apart with the guy that actually owned the car with the cruise control, when we took it apart, we thought we'll just pull the cables through this hole. Well, it doesn't work like that. Not only there is rubber, but there is actually a molding. You can actually see the wires, some molding left on them. So there is a molding for the whole loom, which is that thick, and everything is molded into one big chunk, so no water goes in, because it's right next to your computer. If water goes there, bad things happen. So taking these cables out will be a challenge. We'll see how that goes. So actually that's second step I'm gonna do. The first step in this operation is installing the brake switch, because not because it's the easiest thing to do, but actually how you test things. When you install it, all the test procedures are related with this thing. You have to press it, you have to depress it. Also, next thing is to install. Second step actually is to install this thing, because just the test procedures, they require you those two things to be installed. So you press stuff and see how the control box reacts, or what things come into this pinout. So installing, actually, if I'm installing the switch, I have to install the cover also. These things I install first, and for them I'm gonna talk about a few things actually here and now. Let's first start with the brake switch and the steering wheel switch. Those two switches, apparently, when I read first on the internet, the guys, I actually found only one guy on drive2.ru, I believe it was called. He actually had pictures, good pictures. He had the cabling of those two in place already. I checked, well, it's the same here. So I don't know if you're gonna see something. Let me go out. Okay, I'm not sure if it's visible. Let me turn on some flashlight. Interesting, doesn't allow me to. Damn it. Okay, not gonna happen. But here, where is the let me orient myself. Where is the stop switch? You should have additional loom. Actually, here it is. I don't know if you see it. This one, that's a connector which is just floating here. There's nothing to it, and that's the connector that should go to the stop switch, the new stop switch. So that's the cable looming for this one, already installed in the car. Okay. Same goes here. I've removed this to check, of course, when I was getting the cruise control. The plug, as you see it, it has all the wires. The plug that's in here, there's actually such a plug with only the grounding wire. But the female plug, which is on the other side of the wheel, actually has all the wires. So all the wiring is in place, which you could also see in here, where I'm going to plug all of those pluggables. You can see that on one side they're empty, but on the other side they're actually wires. So these wires are actually the brake switch, the steering wheel controls, and the lighting for the instrument cluster. Now this one, as I said, we have to talk about a bit for this one. As you can see, let me check. This is the third one here. Let me focus. The third one is missing, and I believe on the other side, yes, on the other side there's also one missing, the fourth one from right to left. We have two missing wires. Going through the I don't know, I should have probably showed you through the documentation. You can see which wires exactly are missing. which leads me to the note I have to give you. The cruise control you have to get from the same car, like facelift or no facelift, and the automatic or non-automatic, because one of the cables missing here is for OD, which is for the automatic manuals. This is automatic shifts. This is actually a manual shifting mechanism. So I do not care about OD, and actually apparently the control box doesn't understand it. I don't know. I checked with how many such control boxes are installed, and there are like 3 in the non-facelift version, and the facelift version I don't remember. So there are few of those that are actually being installed, and probably this one won't understand for automatic shifting. The other one that's missing, it's more related to being facelift or non-facelift. The other one that's missing is indicator, cruise main indicator. On the pre-facelifts, they're actually like on the Mazda 6. Here you have a cruise main, which is a yellow bulb that's lit, and then you have a green bulb which is lit when you are actually cruising. The facelift version of 626 doesn't have the cruise main, while the pre-facelift has it. So this here wire is missing for the cruise main, and there's no wiring there to here. There's just no such wire. So if you're getting from a facelift version to a non-facelift version, you're probably gonna miss out this wiring, and I'm hoping that's the only thing that you're gonna miss, because you need vehicle speed sensor, and I'm not quite sure the pre-facelift version from where it gets the signal. The facelift version actually gets it from the ABS, which as a test procedure I'm gonna show you probably later today how you test it. It's actually written, of course, in the documentation. I'm not making it up. Okay, so I think that pretty much covers what you need. And now I'm gonna start installing. Since I'm the only guy, I'm gonna pause video and install thing, and then show you, and then pause, and then install, and etc. So later. Okay, so an issue, something that well, I couldn't find any information on the internet, and I didn't do a proper check when I was taking the parts off. You do need the whole steering wheel though, because let me get this out. Okay, first, because if you get the old part, okay, the old part, as you can see, the holes here, they match the holes that you get the plastic off. These holes here, these holes, they are lifted and they're on different places. Now here, as you can see, it's different. That's reason number one. Actually, those do not fit. I'll make those fit. As you can see, they're in totally different places. I'll make metal planks and I'll make it fit, as this is not heavy and it's not something that actually needs to be that tight. Reason number two is more problematic though. This one has a mounting mechanism also. 3 bolts, 3 screws, and when you place it inside, they are probably supposed to be on the plastic, I don't know. So this probably has to be like that, and that now it's in the way. I'll have to figure out a way to secure this in this current setup. I do not want to get the steering wheel from the other car because it was in an awful condition. First thing. Second thing, I would actually install a Mazda 6 steering wheel and get rid of this whole problem. So I'll do a temporary solution here somehow just to see the cruise control working, and next step is get a Mazda 6 steering wheel. That's it. Okay, something that's not actually okay, but apparently the whole thing, it's garbage. Like, you can't fit now the airbag on because you have too much wires, and probably that's why the metal frame inside of the other steering wheel is different, so the cabling fits properly. That's my guess. I'm going to invest more time in fixing this, but after I see the cruise control is working, since this whole thing is experiment. So let's continue with stop brake, see if we hit any issues there. Okay guys, so I mounted the stop switch, no problems there. And then next thing is to actually connect this without trying to pull this cable through, so I can test here inside of the car. Battery is currently removed. I removed the ECU, as you can see. If you haven't removed it, let me grab it. Yes, a good idea is to actually remove here the seat. It will be much more comfortable. This is how it looks. It's actually sitting like that. When you unbolt 4 bolts, this one, this one, this one, and this one, you can't just simply take it, but you can pop it from here, from this side, so this connector sits like that, and use a screwdriver to unscrew this, remove the connector, and then that's the main thing, which we do not need. So back to the pile of car parts there. So this we do not need. What I did is, yes, by the way, if you haven't read Kama Sutra, it's probably a good idea to do it. You're gonna need it. Okay, give me some more light. So this one here goes to the bonnet in front, and here there was some sealing which I cut. It's actually such a plastic that's already being cut in the middle, but it also has lots of electrical tape on it and below it. So all the cables, they were in electrical tape, then this, then electrical tape again. Lots of cutting. But this is where both signals to the computer and to the instrument cluster go. So this is in the middle. That's the perfect spot to actually cut wires and connect our cruise control module connector. The other thing is, that's what you need here to remove the outer connector of the two. You could try from here to take the whole white thing, but I couldn't do it. There are two shitty things on the bottom that prevent you to. Anyhow, you can see from this side of the connector, on this first row here, there's only one missing spot for a cable. If you look at the other side though, there's actually many missing spots. That's the thing we need. That's where we are actually going to plug our connectors that I have here with plugs. And actually the colors even match exactly. So if you look at this side, you can see there is a brown one, then there is some brown with white, I believe, then there is some purple with yellow, a blue with orange, I think, and this one, the green the green cable. Now, a side note here: if you see my connectors, I have only 4 of those, and I actually told you 5. The other one is a blue one, so the blue one actually goes into the pile of this is the power for the actuator, and initially I had it here. I didn't know that this was the last one that the last thing that I actually took from the car. And first I cut everything that seemed not to go to this connector, which meant I actually, let me find it with this mess of cables. Yes, here it is. This one, this is the cable that actually after that I got us I got downloaded, like uninstalled, like I'm a programmer and not a car genius, so my terms are a bit programish. So this is where it used to be. I cut it, so this one will actually go also as a 5th cable here. Now for the pre-facelift version there should be 6 cables, and one should be for actually the instrument cluster main, I guess, main bulb, cruise main. Okay, as of the rest cables, since the colors match, like these, all of these that I need to cut, I actually left them a lot longer. I'm just going to find the spots, install them, and then when I actually get the test procedure, I'm gonna see if I did connect to the proper cables. If not, in the documentation it says actually where they should connect. It's just easier if I follow the cables, the color of the cables, since apparently they match. This is because I got the cruise control from exactly the same Mazda, like facelift, manual shift. See you next. Okay, a side note here. When connecting cables, keep in mind that you might have 2 cables with same color labeling, but different vertical strips. Stupid multimeter. So this one in particular that I have to connect is a white one with green and a single silver strip. Now if you look here at the loom, I actually found it there. I traced it. That's actually the clutch switch. If you look closely, you're gonna find out that there are 2 types, two such wires. See, this one is white with green, but it has 2 stripes, and this one is again white with green, only 1 stripe. That's the one we want. The other one, no. So keep that in mind if you're doing it by color, because you might get it wrong. Okay, one thing I noticed while checking this black with yellow cable, that according to the documentation is for the ignition and goes to the meter fuse, which I checked, it's correct. What I noticed though here in the documentation, it says meter 10 amperes fuse. Check here, meter 7.5 amperes fuse, and it's actually 7.5 installed. So I guess since apparently the power of the cruise control module goes through the meter one, probably I need to increase to 10 amperes, otherwise it might burn out. I'm not gonna actually try to with the 7.5. I'm gonna search, if I have of course, 10. I'll plug it in just to make sure it's as per the documentation says, 10 amp fuse. And I'll actually ask the guy that I got the cruise control from to take a picture of this, just to make sure he says 10 amp. That's it. Okay guys and ladies, that's the whole thing. I connected all the wires and I just ran through the whole procedures here for testing each wire. Everything checks out properly. Because, oops, I clicked on another page. Where was I here? Because, as it says on top, if the parts and wiring harness are okay, but system still does not work properly, press control module. And it says with the cruise control module connector connected. So all these you test except terminal P while the cruise control is connected. This gives me the idea that actually the module, cruise control module, should be working properly, because it actually outputs the proper signals for the actuator. These actuator signals, they're all good, so it reads properly these and outputs proper there. I guess I should say this is done, this is fine. So next thing that I need to do is actually pull the wires from there somehow. That's the hardest part, towards the bonnet, before installing the cruise control actuator, because it will be in the way otherwise. Okay guys, so pushing the cables through, that's tough operation. What I did is actually I pushed the whole cable loom here to the outside. You can see the hole here. I push it from outside, where it's a lot easier to work and see. So this is the cable loom. This is the mode I was talking about. That's all molded. These cables are not moving. So what I did is I used these parts of wipers, which I'll pull wires through, and I'm pulling them around the rubber. So this actually goes on the other side. Stick a cable here, pull. That's the way. I need to do that 5 times. Of course, first I will need to figure out how to remove those wires from here without cutting them, because I do not want to cut them, but there should be a way. There is always a way, and that's it. Okay, so I have the loom properly installed back, and I have all the 5 cables I need here. That is it. It's all good. And the testing cable for diagnostics. Now what I need to do is secure those from heat, go through all the way there, and then install the actuator. Okay, a quick note for the test wire. The testing wire, the car I got it from, is actually has to be right here at the bottom. I don't know if you see, the sun is shining. So at the top you have a pin, I believe that's battery or something on the diagnostics port, but the topmost on the right below it, that's where you insert the test wire. I'm gonna close it, connect, and that will finish the electrical part of the installation. The only thing left is the actuator and the gas pedal. Okay guys and girls, everything is connected. The vacuum, the electricity, the whole thing, there is for the gas pedal. Absolutely everything is connected. Gas pedal is in place. Ground finale is here. I'm gonna start the car, let it warm up, and then I'm gonna show you if it's working or not. Guys, let's go. 40. and cruise, and that's it. I'm cruising. Don't mind the blinking blink. I don't have seat here. Now I hit the brake, no, I hit the clutch, it's going off. I hit resume. Yeah, but my speed is now and I have to stop. Okay, cruise control is working, success. Now I actually have to fix this whole mesh here. Okay, now I'm up at home and I just fixed the issue with the airbag not coming in. Now as you can see, it actually fixes perfectly. The issue is, this is what I get with the cruise control, this black metal-y thingy. Apparently it's a bit different as shape, and also has different stuff. Like this one here, it has it, but on the other side here does not. And also the angle here is different. It's just different structured steering wheel. So what I did is actually I unplugged it from the plug. That's the plug, and I plugged mine, the original one. So I have still this, but the horn is working. That's the horn, and the airbag actually goes nicely. Now next thing to figure out is how to fixate this one so it doesn't wobble inside of the steering wheel. Actually, how to make the plastic not wobble also, because currently I cannot fix it to this. Okay, I got a dirty fix for the wobbling plastic. It's extremely dirty. I use cable ties. I'll cut them in a bit. That's how it looks, and it's not wobbling at all. It's actually pretty solid. The other thing that I had to do is cut. There were two plastic pieces. You can see where it's cut here at the bottom. I used a Dremel to cut it here, and this one here also. So these were in the way for this to actually hit the bottom. Now it's at the bottom, and I use the cable ties to make it sure it stays there. I'm planning to use the same for this one. It's temporary solution which will hold until I find my Mazda 6 wheel. Okay, and here's the fix for the switch. It's pretty stable. It's a temporary solution, as I said. Actually hitting it works. The only position that doesn't work properly is the cancel position, which you have to pull and press in, otherwise it's not working. But those two are working, which I plan actually on using. Everything seems good. Okay, so I've been driving for a while now with the cruise control. All I can say, it's working perfectly. It's a working procedure. It's a bit different than what I thought and what I expected from the Mazda 6, since I know the one from the 6. The one in Mazda 6 works by pressing buttons here, or the other side, I don't know which one. By pressing the increase and decrease in speed, you actually press once and it increases the speed with some amount, I don't know, 1.5 kilometers or 3 kilometers, or I have no idea. When actually doing it here, by pressing up or down, it's not gonna work like that. You have to actually hold it. So you keep holding it until you reach the desired speed, and then you release it. That's the way it works here. There's no other way to do it. Also, the set speed is exactly the same. That's how it says in the documentation. You have to See the reset now. I hit reset. Cool. You have to actually hold it on set until you reach the desired speed again. That's how you set it. That's the interesting part. And the other thing in the manual that says is you have to wait 2 seconds at least when you press on until you can actually set speed. And I believe that's the most important thing. You cannot just simply press and set immediately. Another interesting thing you might need to know is it's a difference between the Mazda 6 and the 626 is this here actually has a constant press, while in the Mazda 6 it's again a button, much like these here. Now this means if you want to install a steering wheel from Mazda 6, you're going to end up constantly being on. You're gonna wire it so this is constantly on, and that has one downside, as when you press on and off there is a relay inside of the module that gets turned on. I'm gonna try to show you with sound. I don't know if you hear it, but there is a relay there when you click. So if you're constantly on, this means you're gonna actually have some relay constantly running. Don't know what's the damage of that, but that's what actually is going to happen. That's it. I hope you enjoy the video and enjoy your cruise control if you're gonna install one. I'll keep you posted with new stuff when I come up with them. Bye.